Do you find this whole indica sativa hybrid business kind of confusing? Well, if so, I'm going to try to help break it down for you. This is Eddie with a Mindful Emergence, where Margaret and I offer mindfulness, movement, and breathing practices along with plant medicine when appropriate for those of you wanting healing and spiritual transformation. Perhaps you walked into a dispensary and you looked up at the wall and it said sativa, hybrid, indica, and under each it listed several strains. And you thought, wow, this is easy. I kind of like sativa. And you go and you pick one out and you buy some and you go home and you're ready to clean the house or get involved in some creative project. You want a nice, energizing, uplifting strain, which is what sativas are supposed to do, and you end up needing a nap. And you're going, what the hell's going on here? Well, it used to be simple a long time ago. I remember back in the late 60s, yeah, I'm that old. I, along with everybody else, was looking for Acapulco Gold, Panama Red, and Maui Wally. These were the strains that were supposed to be fantastic. Well, it just so happens that they're all sativas. And I'm a sativa guy, and I really like them. So it kind of makes sense. I should be looking for Acapulco. I should be looking for those now. And I have seen sativa, I've seen the gold, and I've seen the red in a couple of stores. But I'm not counting on it being anything like it was back then. First of all, it's probably going to be stronger. It was about 5%, 4% back then, probably. 15 to 20%, maybe even higher now. But the big change is it may not have the same effect. Why is that? Well, let's back up a little bit and talk about what sativa and indica are supposed to mean. Sativa and indica are the type of cannabis plants. It's kind of like you got two different kinds of apple trees. So in the tropics, the equatorial region, the cannabis plants that are grown there tend to be taller, long branches, a lot of long leaves, light green leaves. Whereas if you go into the mountains, into the Himalayas, especially in Afghanistan, you had these other cannabis plants that were bushy. The leaves were shorter and wider and darker green. Well, the ones that were grown in the Himalayas were called indica, and the ones that were grown in the tropics were called sativa. Well, guess what? Hawaii, Panama, Mexico. Yeah, no wonder they were sativas. Now you're saying, well, wait a minute, Eddie, you said you could buy one of these sativas, take it home, and it might not work out because of what? Terpenes? What's that? Well, if you're wondering what terpenes are, go into the description and watch the video that I did on that where I try to help you understand it. But simply put, terpenes are aromatic compounds that are in every plant. There are terpenes in this lemon. Okay, and the dominant terpene in this lemon is called limonene. Lemons, limonene. That's interesting. And if you scratch it, there's sort of a little bit of a lemony kind of smell, right? If you go out and go up to a pine tree and you take the needles and put it up to its nose, you know what that's going to smell like. Well, guess what that terpene is? It's called pinene. Well, why is this important? Well, limonene and pinene are both energizing terpenes. They both are uplifting. Okay. So if I want to buy a sativa that's energizing and uplifting, I need to have those as the dominant terpenes. Okay. Now it might work out with other terpenes, but it might not. All right. Because here's the deal. The most prominent terpene now available on all strains, you'll see it all over the place, is called myrcene, Myrcene. Okay? Now, myrcene tends to be sedating, relaxing. And of course, for a lot of people, that's just what they want. Now, that makes sense then that myrcene would be dominant a lot in indica strains. And it is. But it also shows up a lot in sativa strains. And you're going, why? Here's why. Okay. A couple of reasons. One is let's go to hybrids. All right. Remember, we've talked about sativa and indica. What's a hybrid? A hybrid is a blend. Well, a hybrid is something man-made, if you excuse the gender-specific expression. It didn't grow naturally. So you got all these growers out there wanting to play mad scientist and come up with their own unique strain, and then they can name it. They can name it after themselves. Oh, how cool. I've created this. Well, that's one thing. So you start seeing all these blends, these combinations of different strains, and they don't tend to be pure sativa or indica anymore. By the way, those were called landrace. If you ever actually get your hands on a landrace sativa, grab it and run like a rabbit because that's probably really pure sativa. It's never been hybridized in any way. Okay. So here's the reason why you're seeing a lot of myrcene. One of the reasons is that if you look at sativa and indica plants, sativa plants take about typically 10 to 16 weeks to mature and flower, so you can harvest them. Indica plants tend to take more in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 weeks, roughly. And if you're a grower and you want to sell, then guess what? Aren't you going to lean towards the indica because you can produce more crops? You can turn over your fields more rapidly and get more profit. Okay, so now you're a dispensary, all right? And you're taking that product that your grower, or maybe you're growing it, because I know at least one of the local dispensaries is growing their own cannabis, and you're thinking, okay, I want to sell that. Well, guess what you're going to sell? You're going to sell something that you can produce more rapidly. So that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons you're starting to see a lot of indicas showing up in these sativa, a lot of indica based terpenes showing up in these sativa strains because they can make profit faster. And quite frankly, most people don't care. And I have smoked sativas that have had a lot of myrcene in, and they worked out fine. But the thing is, I want to make informed decisions. And that's why you need to look at a certificate of analysis. That is something I cover in the terpene video. Okay. A COA critical. Very, very important, very, very important to know that. So if you want to use your medicine, your plant, as for pain relief or for spirituality, it's best that you start understanding terpenes. And also, by the way, cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are especially important if you're into pain management. Okay. So I can help you. There's a great book on terpenes that I stumbled across. It's called The Little Book of Terpenes. It's really interesting. There's no author on this. I'm not sure exactly who put it together, but I've studied this. We're in a situation now where it's so easy to get information. So rather, than just flying blindly, don't necessarily just believe that what these people are saying in the dispensary. And that's the other thing. Some of these bud tenders, I'm just going to be frank. These guys that work in these places, they don't know shit. Okay. So we need to educate ourselves if we want to use this plant effectively. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Please leave comments. If you have any tips, suggestions, please share them. And I look forward to your next video. And by the way, check out that terpene video. Okay. I think you might find it helpful.